As we look at the ways that we're going to solve these linear equations, since that is our goal for this unit, there are kind of two overarching rules that I want you to keep in mind, not only for the linear equations that we're going to solve in this chapter, but for all equations. Every equation that you're going to solve all the way through this course, if you're going on to the intermediate algebra, the quantitative or algebraic literacy class, Math 155, and then on to college algebra in 121, these two rules aren't going to change for the rest of your math experience. So getting these two concepts into your head today would be a great thing to do. So my first one, I have a corny way of remembering it, looking back to the Terminator movies that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the 1980s, if you're old enough to remember those. The Terminator might say something like, isolate the variable. That's my really bad Austrian accent. So in every equation that you solve, you are going to need to isolate the variable. So if we look back up at our form here, remember these A's and B's aren't actually letters, they're going to be numbers. So the variable is going to be the X, and our goal is going to be to isolate it. That means get it all by itself on one side of the equal sign, and get all of this other stuff to move over to the other side of the equal sign. Okay? So that's going to be one goal that we work toward with every problem that we solve. The other rule to remember is the one that I call the golden rule of algebra, because we're going to modify it a little from the traditional golden rule. Almost every culture, every religion throughout history has had some version of the golden rule. You might have heard it from your parents or in your grandparents. They do unto others as you would have others do unto you, or treat other people the way you'd like to be treated, or something like that. Well, in algebra, the way that we're going to modify it, we're going to say do to one side as you do to the other. Okay? So what I mean by that, all of our equations are going to have two sides. If you think back to our definition, it's a mathematical statement that two expressions are equal. So there's going to be an expression on the left and an expression on the right. So if we do something to modify this expression on the left, if we take something away from it, or add something to it, or multiply it by something, or divide it by something, we're going to need to do the same thing to the expression that's on the other side. That's what maintains equality, or in the lines of the golden rule, what makes life fair and happy to live is if we're treating both sides of our equation the same way. The next step is going to be the actual mathematical steps that we'll go through for solving linear equations.